Dear students, today we shall see about the structure of a neuron. I request you to take this as a self-study and understand the structure of a neuron. What is a neuron? A neuron is the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system. It is also called as a nerve cell. It is present in the brain, nerve cord, nerves, ganglia, and also in the autonomic nervous system. If you take the main function of the neuron, it is to transmit information through electrical and chemical signals. They form complex networks which are responsible for all the brain as well as body functions. Now let us discuss about the major parts of a neuron. Neuron has a cell body which is also called as soma, which contains the nucleus and the organelles. It also has dendrites, with the main function of which is to receive impulses from other neurons. Third, you have the axon, which transmits the impulse away from the cell body. And the axon is covered by a myelin sheath which helps in the signal transmission. And finally, we have the axon terminals which helps to send the signals to other neurons or the effectors. Let us discuss in detail the structure of a neuron. The cytoplasm of the cyton is called as neuroplasm. The neuroplasm contains a prominent nucleus, fine filaments called neurofibrils, then basophilic granules called Nissl granules, mitochondria and Golgi complex. And the nucleus which is present in the cyton has got one or two nucleoli. And the neurofibrils that are present in the cyton, they are formed of microfilaments and microtubules. The cell cytoplasm draws into two types of process, namely dendron and axon. So the dendrons are very short and they conduct the impulse into the cyton. And the axon is a long process. It is larger in size and it is less branched. And it has got a cytoplasm which is called as axoplasm and is covered by a thin membrane called axolemma. So it carries impulses away from the cyton. The axon will end in branches called as telodendria, and these telodendria will terminate in minute knobs called as Bowden's terminax. The axon is surrounded by cells called Schwann cells, and it is covered by a sheath called myelin sheath or medullary sheath. And if you look at the axon, the myelin sheath is constructed into segments at regular intervals, and this point of construction is called as node of Van Leeuwen. And the part between the two nodes is called as internode. So the internode is occupied by a cell called Schwann cell with a nucleus. This myelin sheath is actually secreted by the Schwann cells and is called as neurolemma, or it is a plasma membrane of the Schwann cells. An axon with a sheath is commonly called as nerve fibers, and these nerve fibers join to form nerves. When myelin sheath is present, the nerve fiber is called as myelinated or medullated nerve fiber, and when myelin sheath is absent, the nerve fiber is called as non-myelinated nerve fiber. Next we shall see the types of neurons. Generally the neurons are classified as apolar neurons, unipolar neurons, bipolar neurons, pseudo-unipolar neurons and also multipolar neurons. Functionally, they may be classified as three types. One is sensory neuron, which will carry the impulse from the sensory organs to central nervous system. And the other one is the motor neurons, which will transmit the impulse from the central nervous system to the muscles or to the glands. And third, we call as relay neurons or interneurons, which will connect the sensory and the motor neurons within the central nervous system. And here you can see the image of all the three types of neurons: sensory neurons, relay neurons, and motor neurons. Coming to the functional aspects of the neurons, neurons communicate via synapses using neurotransmitters. The electrical impulse, which we learn about action potentials, the positive and the negative charges, they travel along the axons. And the myelinated neurons will conduct impulses faster than the unmyelinated ones. So this is the image of synapse. Here we can see how between one axon and the other, that it can be a muscle or the neuron, a synapse is being formed. So we have the end, which is called as the presynaptic neuron, then the synaptic cleft, and the postsynaptic neuron. So the signals which are transmitted, these signals are realized or recognized by these neurotransmitters which are present in the synaptic vesicles. And these neurotransmitter molecules, they come and bind to the ion receptor channels and then help in the transmission of signals through the postsynaptic neuron. And here you can see the electrical impulse or the action potential. The action potential is nothing but you have the sodium and the potassium ions. And these positive and negative charges, they move in and out, that is the sodium and potassium ions, through the gated channels, thus helping in the transmission of impulse, that is resting potential, depolarization, repolarization, and back to resting potential, which will be can be better analyzed by this image. So here we can see myelinated and non-myelinated neurons. In the case of myelinated neurons, the transmission of impulse is very much faster. There is a jumping of ions from one node to the other node. Whereas in the case of unmyelinated neurons or non-myelinated neurons, the transmission of impulse is comparatively slow. And the details of the action potential can be dealt in a further video. To summarize, neurons are specialized cells for communication and has got main parts: the dendrites, the soma, the axon, and the terminals. And they form the basis of neural networks that control body activities. Hope you have understood the basic structure of neuron, and I request you to refer to these books. Thank you.